It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 87. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, July 28th, 2024, a great day for a podcast about video games and more. So that is what we're here to do today. Hope you're doing great out there in the world. Thank you for being here. I am recording this podcast while watching America play Serbia in basketball in the Olympics right now, and Kevin Durant has entered the game and dropped 14 points and is going off. The USA is up 40-33 at this moment in time, and hopefully the USA will be getting the win over the course of this podcast. So that's what's going on right now. It's pretty great sports stuff going on, but we got a lot of video game business to get into, so that is what we're going to talk about today. So the first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast, so find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. And if you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly and get some additional benefits. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available for any day, any time, any amount if you'd like to support the show. So just thank you for being here and thank you for all the support in general. So for today's show, we have our three sections as always. The what video games have been playing is the first section. The second section or the midsection is what video games have been seeing. So video game news, releases, happenings, things like that. And the third section is the Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So the first section, I'll tell you about what video games have been playing, what's in my current rotation. The midsection today, let's see, in the video game news world, we have some news, we have some updates, we have some announcements, things like that. Some good stuff in the midsection today as always. And then the final section, we'll get into the worldwide world of sports as we always do in the Miscellaneous Talk section. And then maybe talk about some of this basketball that's going on right now that I am watching in real time on the side of my eye while recording this podcast. So it's going to be a great day for a podcast. So let's get into it. So what video games have I been playing? So I've really gone off course this week. My main game right now in my rotation is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I haven't made any progress. Well, I actually played a little bit last night, but nothing too much to report on. I'm still traversing around the grasslands, looking and exploring and just taking in all that's going on with the grasslands. So I've been a little bit at a standstill there, but kind of just more of it's been like a standstill that I've chosen. It's been kind of wandering around there and taking it in, but I haven't played much of that. And I have been playing a game that's very old. So I got this game on an Xbox sale for $5. So that's what I'm here to report on. And that game is Fallout New Vegas. So there's pretty great video game sales going on across the board and digitally and in real life. So just check them out, especially on these Xbox games are pretty inexpensive. So I think it's $4.99. Great deal for Fallout New Vegas. I've never completed this game. I played a lot of it back in the day. So I'll be interested to see how far I can get and see if I can get past where I've been or even possibly complete it. But I'm a big fan of Fallout 3. I'd say that's up there in one of my favorite games of all time. And so I'm back playing some New Vegas, and it's really cool. So let's see here. There's only a couple more days left on that sale, so please go check it out if you're listening in real time. I believe it's 4 days from today if you're listening on this actual Sunday. So, go check it in the next couple of days. But Fallout New Vegas, the original release date was October 18th, 2010. So many, many moons ago. And this developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Bethesda Softworks. So this one's actually developed by Obsidian, so that's the difference here with this one. And yeah, I wrote a game I started but never finished. Surprise, surprise. And if you've never heard of Fallout New Vegas, it came out after Fallout 3. It was very successful, just like Fallout 3. And then there's the Fallout show that's going on right now. So there's a lot of people dipping back into the Fallout world. And this is a great example of something where you can go spend some money and get a great Fallout experience for very inexpensive at this point. So the back of the box talk on this game is experience all the sights and sounds of fabulous New Vegas, brought to you by Vault Tech, America's first choice in post-nuclear simulation. Explore the treacherous waste of the Great Southwest from the safety and comfort of your very own vault. Meet new people, confront terrifying creatures, and arm yourself with the latest high-tech weaponry as you make a name for yourself on a thrilling journey. A thrilling new journey across the Mojave Wasteland. A word of warning, however, why Vault Tech engineers have prepared you for every contingency in Vegas. Fortunes can change in an instant. Enjoy your stay. Should not be construed as a legally binding claim. So they are very ominous that some things are going to go down and some things do go down early in the game. So it's a pretty great start to the game. It gets you right into the narrative part of the story. It has an immediate mystery and it gives you some immediate things to do and some friends to try to make, because you need some friends in the beginning because you are in a bad spot. So this is, I don't know how much of this I'm going to play. I've been playing it pretty steadily this week. Maybe I'm 5 hours into it or so. It's been the only game I've been booting up. I've just been taking it slow. The world building, or the world feel is immediately apparent. It still holds up. Like, the sense of place in this game is very, very good. The writing in this game is very good. The characters are great. The graphics don't look the best, but the whole package is really making that okay. And some of the graphic stuff is nice. You're walking around some open scenery, you're seeing some stuff. It's not terrible, but the whole package is still really, really holding up well. And the VAT system for the combat is very fun. VATS is one of the great systems in video gaming for combat. It really is, and it holds up a whole lot, and it's still fun to do. You're still trying to search for those action points and then really let them off. So I guess that's a little bit reminiscent to the combat I've been doing in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, trying to build my meter so I can unleash some attacks. It's kind of the same thing you're doing here. So, a tried and true tactic right there. But Fallout New Vegas has been very fun. It's been fun to dip back onto some nostalgic games. This is from 2010, so it's a pretty prime video game time in my life where the 360 was really popping, and Fallout 3 was really heavy, and then Halo and Call of Duty back during those times, and a couple other games I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. So I guess I kind of went on a little bit of a nostalgia trip last week, but there's some pretty good sales going on, so a good time to do so. And so that's my report on Fallout New Vegas, if you've never heard about that game. So let's see here. I want to talk about, I've been playing one more game, but I'm talking about purchasing some games. So I did spend some money on some games last week. Not a whole lot of money, but I got a lot of games, and they're just old games. This is the thing. So I got Fallout New Vegas. It was $5. I got Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. I think that was $8 or $9. I got a physical copy of that, actually. And then I got a physical copy of Gears of War 4 and Gears of War 5. So those have been added to my backlog, added to my video game collection, and things that I would like to complete. So these are all games I'd like to play through. I started playing some Mass Effect so I could at least have a file. So I've started a new file on Mass Effect 1, playing a soldier named Kaladin from Stormblessed, and from the Great Sando series. And I don't know how much, I'm going to pressure myself to complete stuff here, but I'm really, it's the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show, so I'm trying out RPGs. These are things I've, played a lot of back in the day. I've even completed a Fallout game before, so it wouldn't be completely different of myself to complete one of these games, but I'm dipping a little bit back into the past. It gives me some stuff to play on rotation on my Xbox and some things to quickly boot up and try out. So that's kind of the goal here. But I do have some loose goals of trying to complete New Vegas. Trying to complete the Mass Effect trilogy would be amazing. Those are games that I've played a good portion of each game but never completed. And then Gears of War 4 and Gears of War 5 would be cool to complete before E-Day comes out, which I think is next year possibly, or the year after. And I have completed Gears 1, 2, and 3, so it'd be cool to get into the second half of the series. So that's kind of my plan there on the Xbox. No real firm stuff there. I'm pretty loosey-goosey sometimes in my video game plans, but went on a little nostalgia trip and played some Xbox games. The other game that I'm trying to complete that is a challenge to myself, and I'm challenging myself to, and I just announced this like last week or the week before, that I'm going to try to complete a Legend of Zelda game. And I'm trying to tackle the Tears of the Kingdom, I think is my plan. So I've made a little bit of progress in Tears of the Kingdom. I've been completing some shrines, which has been nice. So I've already had shrines that I have located but have not completed. So I've been taking that as a jumping off point to get back into it and go in there and complete some shrines. And I've actually completed some of these without having to look things up. So that's been making me feel good, keeping the momentum going with some Zelda. And I think this is a good challenge. I need to complete a Zelda game. It doesn't have to be Tears of the Kingdom, but ultimately I do have to pick a game and stick with it to beat it. So that's the one I'm going with right now. I have some other Zelda games in my arsenal, but with the release of Zelda Echoes of, I guess it's called Echoes of Wisdom, the new Echoes game coming out in September, the new Zelda game called Echoes coming out in September. If I can complete a Zelda game before then I'll think about purchasing that. But that is the only stipulation I got going right now. So for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I have like 70-something hours of gameplay in this. I wrote I'm liking the combat a little bit more, so I don't know if that's probably is related to me playing some other games or making some more progress in some combat-heavy games. Like I've been playing Elden Ring back into that a little bit and dipping and dabbling into Elden Ring, so it makes the combat a little more, I just have more experience with it. So, and Zelda's definitely more lighthearted than Elden Ring with the combat, so I think I'm becoming a little bit tougher as a video game combatant. And I've been playing this game handheld. I've been sitting outside playing it. It's been real nice. And The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a great game. There's no breaking news here with that. But the breaking news will be once I complete a Zelda game. So going to hold myself accountable here on this podcast to complete a Zelda game, and that challenge and that gauntlet has been thrown down. So those have been the games I've been playing this week. I wrote down, other games in my rotation. There's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have played a tiny bit of that. And then the biggest upcoming release for me is Astrobot, which comes out September 6, 2024. It's something I've already pre-ordered, and I'm excited to play that when it comes out. So I'm very hyped for that. I think that's my most anticipated game with the release date right now. So those are most of my video game thoughts. Like I said, this is the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. I like to reiterate that. It's just a year with a focus on a specific genre, and I keep them at the forefront of my video gaming mind when I'm thinking about what I'm going to play and what video games I want to pick up or plan to purchase. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the top dog right there. I completed Final Fantasy VII Remake earlier in the year, which was a great accomplishment for me. And the other games, I have a bunch of RPGs floating around that I could play. Super Mario RPG, I'm pretty close to finishing that. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door Remake, which came out this year. And then Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion has been something that I've been playing a little bit. So I like to rotate games a whole lot. As you can see, took a whole week off basically to play Fallout New Vegas. But I would like to state Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my top game at the moment. That's one of my things that I'm holding down. And then completing a Zelda game. Those are my two video game things that I'm going to be tracking and actually trying to keep up with. So I want to keep you aware of that here in this first section because that is the whole point. So that's been all the video games I've been playing this week. I've been playing Fallout New Vegas, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I picked up Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and I've still been playing some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that's been everything that I've been playing in this wonderful week of video gaming on the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So I'm actually going to take a break. You're going to hear some lovely break music from friend of the show, Volnus, and we're going to come back for the midsection of the show after that. So, go take a quick break if you need to. Go check in. The basketball score now is 56-49, so America's still holding it down with 6 seconds left to go in the second quarter. LeBron is talking to the ref, and hopefully the USA is going to hold it out, but I'll be reporting back to that as this show goes on. So you're getting a live feed of what's going on with the basketball game over there in France. So I'm going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some music and then come back for the midsection of Dep Lewis Show after this. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 87. This is where I tell you about what's going on across the video game world, all the news, all the happenings that you need to know, and I'm bringing them to you right now. So let's get into it. So the first one was a big news story that broke. The actual event started on July 26, 2024. It's the first time since 2017, and video game actors are on strike. So they are striking over higher pay, better safety measures, and protections from new generative AI technologies. The strike also citing an unwillingness of big game companies to budge on guaranteeing performers' rights over how their work is used in training AI or creating AI-generated copies. This could have big consequences for the development and marketing of some of the industry's biggest games. So it's definitely something that you need to be aware of out there in the video game world. It's something that I think I can sum up my thoughts would be, I hope both sides can reach a solution quickly that is acceptable enough for both, because that's how it's going to have to go. Both sides are going to have to give some type of concession to agree, or they're just going to be at a standstill, or they're going to be really at an impasse if they can't even get to that. So I think that's kind of always my hope in these things, that a solution can be reached. Hopefully both sides will get some things that benefit them, or change their ways enough to help the other side out. I don't know, but going to keep monitoring this and letting you know what's going on with this. So this could definitely delay some games. It could delay some production, things like that. And I think some of this stuff, it seems like, is new territory, especially with the AI. So there might not be enough ground rules or things in place to, protect these workers, because it never has been done before. So that could be a little bit of the cop out to the company side. But the argument to there would be they need to get some measures in place, or think about it, or lay out some guidelines, and they need to make them fair, which would be nice. So keep you updated on this. There's many articles about this, and there's a lot of people affected. I think you keep seeing 2,500 different people have, formed this, or they started the strike, or contributed to it, or something like that. But a lot of people are affected, and a lot of people are, speaking up with this. So go check it out. Video game actors are on strike, a big deal. And please, I'll keep you up to date with any developments going on with that I can see or find. So, pretty big news right there going on with the video games. But we're going to talk about some games that are out right now and tell you some updates that's going on with them. So one game that's had an update coming up, so they've announced this, and that is Helldivers 2. I don't know. I think I might have sold myself on trying Helldivers 2 after, looking up the information for this update. I think I'm going to read a lot of stuff to you that's back of the box talk, or it's, from this blog post, I guess, and they're giving you some updates on the game, and they're really, really thoughtful. And I think it draws attention to how much care and effort they put into this game. So it seems like something that I should try. And I don't know. It's, it's a multiplayer game. I don't really have a group of multiplayer people to play, but I could certainly jump in and play this myself and see how it goes. And I think I'm going to try it out because there's a lot with this game that it looks like it's offering that's really cool. So let's see here. This biggest update yet is what they're touting. It's called the Escalation of Freedom. It releases August 6, 2024. And let's see, their community continues to show how strong we all are when united against the mindless automations and the scourge of the Terminid. So, talking about some automations, we were just talking about AI, and what are these strong we are united against the mindless automation. So, just talking about a battle between humans and AI, and that's a little bit what's going on with the actor strike a little bit. So, as we stand here on the eve of the escalation of freedom, we reflect on the 6 months since launch. We could never have predicted how far this game would go, and many citizens would answer Super Earth's call to arms. So this is what they're saying. That's been 6 months since launch. That's pretty cool for Helldivers 2. Has some great steam still going. So the things they're adding to this game would be a new combat rating 10. So a new combat rating 10, Super Hell Dive. It's their most challenging, most relentless dive difficulty yet. They hope it is going to give the players the intensity they're looking for on the battlefield, and with a great challenge comes greater rewards. They're also talking about new mission objectives and bigger enemy outposts for both bots and bugs that offer brand new super sample rewards. These outposts will be heavily fortified and require players to coordinate and strategize in order to take them out. So, Escalation of Freedom is unleashing some new threats to our liberty that will take some serious strategizing from the Helldivers to take down. Backed by popular demand, the Impaler, the big guy from the original Helldivers, creates some new challenges. No longer can you run from the bugs when the Impaler was around. Big, imposing, and destructive, it demands to be dealt with. Also new among the Terminid ranks is the Spore Charger. As if the regular old Charger wasn't scary enough, the Spore Charger is shrouded in fog to obscure its location until it's right up on you, so that's nice. Helldiver. Lastly, the Terminid Alpha Commander, which is a supercharged brood commander that's a bigger, meaner, and doesn't hesitate to call in other bugs for backup. Don't think we forgot about the automations. That's the automatons. Their ranks are growing too with the addition of the formidable rocket tank as well as some other bot surprises they'll be throwing our way. So the last update to highlight is they're making changes to mitigate the problem of grief kicking in Helldivers 2. So I've never heard that phrase before, grief kicking, but they're going to give some more insight to what it is just in this description. While it's our hope that players engage with the game in good faith and sportsmanship, we do recognize that some players are using the team kicking to grief others. To help improve this, we have implemented a system where if a player is kicked, they will spawn into a new session as the host with all of the team's loot from their previous session. So all items can now be picked up by the player. Before extraction, the squad doing the kicking will see a message in the chat widget that a player has been kicked, yet their loot remains unchanged. With these changes, all players have the opportunity to leave with all loot collected on mission, with no one Helldiver losing out. So I guess if you were able to boot somebody, if you're 90% into a mission and they end up getting no reward for that, it's pretty sad, even if they are, I guess, just a big nuisance, or, maybe some people just don't like them, or whatever it may be, or some people might just been trying to do it just for the heck of it. So I don't know. I think if it's some type of issue, it's nice that they're doing things to mitigate that. And then the last thing they're saying with Helldivers 2 is they're also releasing other quality of life upgrades with Escalation of Freedom. That's the title of the update, including major fixes to the social menu to make diving with your friends easier. So pretty cool that they're having this big of an update. They've definitely had some success, and it seems like they're handling their success with care. And Helldivers 2 is getting the biggest update yet, Escalation of Freedom, on August 6, 2024. So pretty cool. I didn't see if there's a price on this or if it's a free update, but if it's a free update, that's pretty amazing. And I don't know if they're charging. The base game I think is $39.99. I'm not sure. So if I hear about that or actually get into this game, because it's something I might want to try. I've been looking at it since the beginning and only really heard good things about it. So maybe I'll give it a try at some point. So let's talk about some more games and what's going on with them. So let's talk about an older game that was possibly getting some new updates. That is a game that launched in 2016. It's now called Overwatch 2. So game director Aaron Keller says, why not put various forms of 6v6 in the game in order to gauge the results? We're exploring how we can test different forms of 6v6 in the game to gauge the results. 6v6 was previously removed from Overwatch 2, and he also explains this in the blog post. So they're touting, or I keep saying touting this episode, but they are saying technological challenges presented by 12-player lobbies is one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. And I think it's interesting that Overwatch 2, there is a hero shooter craze going on right now. And it's not like there hasn't been a hero shooter craze, but there are two pretty big releases coming out that I'm going to tell you about in a second. So that's why I'm kind of getting into the Overwatch 2 news. So Overwatch 2 is recognizing some of this, and they're going to maybe try to change up their own formula to try to capitalize on these fans that are disappointed by these new games coming out. So they're trying to grasp on to their old fans still, and then trying to bring in some new ones is what they're trying to do. And I had a great time. Overwatch was one of my favorite games for a long time. It's just been a long time since I played it. That game's been out for 8 years at this point. It's a long time. Not really multiplayering too much anymore, but just an interesting development and something to watch across the video game landscape. So that's why I'm telling you about it. So Overwatch 2 looks like they're trying to get back to some 6v6, I guess, to keep up with these other games coming out. But I want to tell you about some of these other games. So another high-profile game is called Concord. They had a beta recently, and the peak player count during the open beta on Steam was 2,300 people. So more players played this on console, but it's still a low number either way. We're going to talk about some other the game next we're going to talk about has hit 50,000 players concurrently, so a big difference. Concord has a $39.99 entry fee US dollars, so you got to pay to play this game. It releases on August 23rd, 2024, and this is the Guardians of the Galaxy Overwatch, if you've ever seen anything across the internet. So nothing looks apparently like too wrong with this game. I mean, it looks pretty good or whatever, but it just might be an oversaturation, might be something people have played too many of. It might be the price tag on this one not going to get people to play it. So is this going to be something they react to and it goes free to play? I just think that's very, very tricky. I think this game is set up to fail a little bit right now. It's looking like it's going to be a flop, and that's a sad thing to know before the release. The release isn't until August 23rd, about a month away, and it already seems like this game has some really, really negative press going on and pretty low numbers and an entry point to get into it. So there's a lot of games that are free to play that you might want to try out instead. But keeping you updated with what's going on with Concord, and I don't know about that one. Seems like you might want to back off if the player counts are really low. So I don't know. That would be probably some good advice. But the other game that's coming out soon is Marvel Rivals. So this game, I don't know when the release date for this is, but I think it's later in the year. This is going to be a free-to-play superhero team-based PvP shooter with characters such as Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange. The closed beta ends on August 5th, 2024, and is available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox with cross-play and cross-region support. So the closed beta posted impressive player numbers on Steam, so hitting a peak of 52,000 concurrent players since it went live on July 23rd, 2024. Sony and Microsoft don't reveal their player numbers, so just an interesting there to point out and know for myself. But we're talking a big difference of, we talked about Concord had 2,300 people concurrent, or that was the peak player count on Steam, and we're talking about Marvel Rivals has 50,000, or 52,671 is the number. So free to play, giant IP of Marvel, so that's going to be a thing to draw a lot of people or a mass audience in. And if it's doing the same kind of hero shooter gameplay, I think that's going to be the one that people gravitate towards too. So I'm not even going to look up when it comes out, but we'll talk about that on the later show. But it's coming out in the next couple months, I believe, before the end of the year. I don't know if it comes out around Concord or not, but just an interesting development to watch. We're talking about Overwatch 2 possibly getting some updates to keep up with these games. We're talking about really low numbers on Concord, the game you have to pay for. And then we're talking about Marvel Rivals, the free-to-play game, having some pretty successful numbers over the course of its beta. So it looks like it could be a Overwatch 2 looking to upgrade so it can keep up, or Marvel Rivals is going to be taking over that spot possibly. So, there's other shooters like Valorant and Fortnite, but I don't know if those are considered. I don't know if Valorant's considered a hero shooter or Apex. But there's plenty of free shooters. I think having the Marvel license on there or IP is a really helpful thing and very cool, and immediately will get people to try something out, even if the quality is not good. And then if the quality is good, that's going to keep people around and most likely be a winning formula. So interesting developments in the hero shooter genre going on across the video game world. And the last thing I want to tell you about this week to report in the video game news that I've been seeing that I find interesting across the video game world. And let's see, 58-49 halftime from the United States and Serbia. So keeping you updated with that as we go along this show. But the last bit of information is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So that is last year's release. Is now available on some levels of Game Pass, so Xbox Game Pass. I wrote, way to make that confusing, Microsoft, but I guess it's not too confusing. This dropped on July 24, 2024. It's coming to Xbox, so it's available for Xbox Game Pass console, PC, and Ultimate subscribers can access this, but not core members. So if you're a core member, you're not going to be able to play this through Game Pass. But this is the first Call of Duty game to arrive on Game Pass, and Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I believe, launches on day one. It launches on October 25th, 2024, and I guess it comes to Game Pass day one, and maybe it'll be on the same type of categorization as this one. Maybe it'll be on Game Pass console, PC, and Ultimate, but not core. So I think that's how Microsoft is going to do some of these, giant day one games that people want to play. I think they're going to put them on the higher tier, or just, I guess they're not going to be on the lowest tier, and it should be on all the other ones. But something to definitely check out. We talked about those Game Pass changes within the last couple weeks, and those are all things to really, really know. My Game Pass subscription actually runs out on the end of this month, and I'm not going to renew it. And we'll see how that's going to go. I've had some like gift card things, so I've had Game Pass for maybe a year or two now without really having to pay my own cash for it. So it comes down to the decision of whether I'm going to actually use my own cash to subscribe for it, and I don't believe I will do so. So it's been a nice kind of luxury to have, without having to pay for it. But when you have to make that decision on your own, then it's a little bit, it makes you criticize it a little more harshly or determine how much you're actually using it. But I think Game Pass can be something for me to jump back in from time to time when these new games do get released. Like if Modern Warfare or Black Ops drops, maybe I pay for a month of the tier where I can play that and see how much Call of Duty I want to get into. And then if I really get into it, pay for another month or actually just buy the game then at that point. So I think that's a pretty cool feature of Game Pass and something that is definitely useful. And you don't have to stay subscribed forever on it is the cool part. You have options here, even if it is pricey, or if they're raising the price, it's nice to have options, and it gives you a way to play some games on the Xbox or the PC. So that is all the video game news I have for you this week, all the happenings, all the things I found interesting going on. So we talked about the video game actors are on strike, so that's a pretty big ordeal. We talked about Helldivers 2 getting a big update coming up in August. We talked about the hero shooters and what's going on there with Overwatch 2, Concord, and Marvel Rivals. And then we talked about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The game from last year is now on Game Pass on certain levels. So pretty great video game stuff. We're about to get into the month of August next week for video gaming. So next week's podcast might be a little bit of a look ahead at some August games. I believe there's some pretty good releases coming out. I don't think anything that I'm looking to purchase in August on day one. I think that's going to happen in September. I believe there's Astrobot and possibly Zelda in September that I might want to pick up day one, but I did like a preliminary look on some August games, and it looks like there is some good stuff dropping. So next week, most likely in this section, I'll be doing like an August look ahead of what's releasing and that I think is going to be interesting and good. So that's the plan. So that's going to wrap up the midsection of this show. We're going to take one final break. You're going to hear some more lovely break music, and then we're going to come back for the final section where I talk, the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So we're going to get into the worldwide world of sports, maybe give you an update with what's going on with the USA versus Serbia. It looks like the second half is about to kick off in just a little bit, so I think I'm going to be able to finish recording this podcast and watch the very end. So it's very good, and we're going to get into all the miscellaneous talk after this music. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 87. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So I'm going to get into the worldwide world of sports today, as I always like to do. So give you an update with what's going on with my favorite teams and some just overall sports news. So my favorite NFL team, the Carolina Panthers, I actually went and watched them practice yesterday, so July 27th. I think it was called Back Together Saturday. They were holding practice at Bank of America Stadium. It was free to get in. You just had to reserve a spot, and I think there was a lot of people there, but they were, I think most of the practices have been at the practice field, so there's been a little more limited. So I think this was one of the bigger ones you can get into, and a lot of people did show up, and I got to sit behind the field goal. I got a really cool spot to watch some like end zone passes, and it was a really, really cool time. And I think it lasted almost 2 hours maybe. I sat out there the whole time for the practice and got to see a lot of people. So my thoughts were Jadeveon Clowney is gigantic, so seeing Derek Brown out there was the first shocking thing. I've seen him before on the field, but seeing him again, I was like, oh my gosh, he's huge. And then Clowney walked up to him and is a little bit taller than him, not as like stout, but two gigantic men, and they're both playing over there on the left side of the line like crazy. So that was an exciting thing. Adam Thielen was looking good. Xavier Legette had a nice catch. J.C. Horn was looking really good. Terrence Marshall Jr. had a nice catch on Troy Hill. They had a little bit of a scuffle going on, so some pretty good competitive stuff there with TMJ, who's really trying to improve, and Troy Hill, the savvy veteran. So some pretty positive stuff. I don't know. I saw Bryce Young make some passes. A little bit looking the same. We didn't really see anything too deep get thrown. I think that's been the problem. Looked like the running game was doing okay. A little bit hard to tell watching the practice, but overall it seems pretty good. It seems like a good mix of players. I don't know how successful they're going to be, but really going to want to see the offense put up some points this year. And hopefully the defense can stay healthy. I think the defense is lacking a little more depth than they have in the past. So that's a little worrisome. And hopefully the offense is going to be able to make up for it. But the offense has been really, really stagnant. So I'm going to be looking for that early on in the season. So I think there's some more practices. I think most of them are already pretty sold out. If there's any more that are open, I might consider going to them because it was a fun time. But it was hot out there. But it was worth it to get to see the Panthers. And I had a good time. So, fun time to get ready for the football season. We're only about a month away from the first preseason game, which is in New England for the Panthers. So at August 8th at 7 p.m. The first home preseason game is versus the Jets, August 17th, 7 p.m. The Panthers open the season in New Orleans, September 8th, 1 p.m. on Fox. And then the first home game in Charlotte is versus the Chargers, September 15th. So I got a lot of really good football stuff to look forward to coming up. I just don't know how much success the Panthers are going to be having, but at least they have some fun players going on for me to be a fan of. And hopefully watch some flashes of good football, and that would be nice. I think the division is going to be competitive. I don't know how competitive the Panthers will be in the division, but the division should be up for grabs. That is a good thing, for their odds. If they're going to have any odds at winning the division, at least it's good. And there's no other juggernauts in the division. So staying in North Carolina sports, the Charlotte Hornets. I'm a halfway fan of them now that I'm a North Carolina resident. The only thing I saw there was their PA announcer, Big Pat. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Doherty passed away, but Big Pat, he was their announcer for 20 years. He was fighting health issues for the last couple of years, but his voice was still in the arena doing his thing. So I just want to say rest in peace to him. That is a sad thing. He didn't look like he was too old, and I think LaMelo spoke on it and some other things, and that was pretty much if you search Charlotte Hornets, that was the big news. So a nice tribute to him, and just condolences to his family and all the Hornets fans. So rest in peace to Big Pat for Charlotte Hornets news. The Atlanta Hawks, that's my favorite NBA team. I feel like they're a little bit in limbo of what they're doing. They've traded DeJounte. They're building around Trey apparently again. And their news is they sent E.J. Liddell to the Suns for David Roddy. So not really a too high profile of a trade there. I don't think it really helps the roster out. And I'm not really sure what was up with that one, but that was pretty much all the reports on the Hawks recently. So I'm watching Bogdanovic here playing for Serbia. He was really, really cold early on in the game, but it's reminded me how much I like some Bogey. And I think he's one of the pieces they need to keep around. And let's see. So it's the third quarter, 63-51. So USA holding on. There's 63-52. Hit a free throw. But USA's holding on. There's Embiid in the game. And going to be hopefully a USA W. So let's see. Atlanta Hawks, no other thing to report there. USA versus Serbia is going on today. I need to look up when the next USA game is because it's been really fun watching this. And just exciting seeing that mix of players together. Seeing Curry and LeBron playing together. Seeing Ant Edwards out there with Kevin Durant. Seeing Kevin Durant come into the game and go off. D Book shooting his shot out there looking amazing. And Drew Holiday out there making an impact. Got Bam out there. Got AD. Trying to think who else has been out there playing. Derek White's been contributing. So it's been really, really fun to watch. And it's just really cool to see all those players in the mix playing together. So I'm going to be interested to see. And hopefully the USA is going to bring home the gold in the basketball. I'm not too much a fan of the other Olympic events, but I really do like the men's basketball and very dialed in on that. So, very exciting. And, thank you for listening to some of that across the course of this podcast today. It's a little bit, well, not a problem, but trying to decide when to record today. There's a lot of good sports going on, and I usually like to record here early in the morning. So let's get into my favorite sport, which is the Major League Baseball. The trade deadline's coming up. It's actually on July 30th at 6 p.m. So it's in a couple days. If you're listening in real time, it's the upcoming Tuesday. Well, there's been some trades going down. The Yankees traded for Jazz Chisholm Jr. I'm a huge Jazz Chisholm fan, so a little bit jealous there of the Yankees getting better in that way. The Orioles have upgraded and got Zach Eflin from the Rays, and the Rays have also traded Randy Arozarena to the Mariners. So the Rays are, I guess, in blow-it-up mode. So pretty sad to see. I don't know if the Braves should be picking up any of these players. My favorite team is the Atlanta Braves because I think the Braves have had too many injuries to kind of try to recover from or make a giant move for. They're going to have Ozzie back and have Max Fried and Money Mike back at some point. So getting some guys healthy should, help out in a major way. I don't know if you need to make any drastic decisions at this point when you're on the fringe of a wild card, or you've been in the wild card for a good portion, but recently lost it, and it's going to be a little bit of a fight to get into the playoffs, or definitely not have a good spot at this point, I don't believe. But hopefully the Braves can get kind of hot, and that is my hope. But the Braves have been on a pretty bad losing streak. Talking about what's happened since last week, last Sunday versus the Cards, the Braves lost 2-6. And then the Braves were in Atlanta versus the Reds. They lost Monday. They lost Wednesday. The game Tuesday got postponed because of rain. It was supposed to be a doubleheader on Wednesday, but then the doubleheader got canceled, or the second part of the doubleheader got canceled and got rained out. So I think the Braves have had more games postponed on rain this year than any team, and maybe any other season in a long time. It's really been a lot of scheduling conflicts with Mother Nature out there stopping the baseball, and it's been some pretty inopportune times. I think it was the first day of the season, and I think it was the first game from the All-Star break back, so really making it tough to watch the Braves this year, weather-wise, injury-wise, just all sorts of wises. And then the Braves lost to the Mets on Thursday, 2-3. They lost to the Mets again, 4-8 Friday. So a big losing streak was going on until yesterday. So the Braves got back in the win column yesterday against the Mets, won 4-0. TCB, they took care of business, and they have one more chance this week against the Mets at 1:40 today. So that's about an hour away from this real time where I'm recording this podcast. So starting a little bit late, which is nice, so I can watch the end of this basketball game and then get into watching some baseball for today at 1:40 when the Braves play. And then next week, the Braves are at the Brewers on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then they're in Atlanta versus the Marlins for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the Marlins have been making some trades too. So hopefully the Braves will be getting a lot of wins against the Marlins and snag a couple against the Brewers who have actually been doing pretty well. So that's the sports update for you today. So I'm going to wrap up this section. I'm going to tell you the USA right now is up 65-53 with 6 minutes to go left in the third quarter. So hopefully going to see another quarter and a half of some good basketball and a W. And just thank you for listening to this show. So that's going to wrap up the Miscellaneous Talk section. I told you about all my favorite teams, the Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks. We talked about USA basketball. We talked about the MLB trade deadline, and we talked about my favorite team in the University Atlanta Braves. So, best wishes to all my teams. Hopefully they'll have some success in the upcoming week, or have some good news, or just some good happenings, and that is my hope for all of my teams, and I guess for yours as well out there too. So hopefully some good sports stuff happen next week, and I'll be back next week to definitely talk about some sports stuff again in the Miscellaneous Talk section. So that's going to wrap up the entire Dep Lewis Show, episode 87. Just thank you for listening. I want to reiterate some promotional stuff from the beginning that really helps me out. If you could follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere, that would be great. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly, places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly and get some additional benefits. And then also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. I just thank you for listening. Thank you for being you. Hope you have a great week out there in the world. I hope you get to play some video games. Hope you get to watch some sports. Hope you win the lottery. I hope something crazy and great happens to you. And I hope you come back next week and listen to the Dep Lewis Show again, because I have the utmost fun doing this each week. Scouring the video game world, scouring my own video game thoughts, and then letting you know about what's going on in the sports world and my favorite teams. It's really, really great. And hopefully some good entertainment for you out there in the world too. So, I hope you have a great week. Thank you for being a listener, and I'll be back next week for another episode of Dep Lewis Show.